lesson 78, multiplying fractions by whole numbers. Easy breezy today. Okay, so what they want to remind you of in the beginning is that multiplication is the same thing as adding. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 is the same as 2 times 3, right? 1, 2, 3 2's. 2 times 3. 2 plus 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. So multiplication is just quick addition, right? So in the first question it says write each product as a sum. A sum means adding, right? So 3 times a quarter equals a quarter plus a quarter plus a quarter. 1, 2, 3 quarters. Right? Okay? They don't even actually want you to answer it in this question. So I'll do the first one with you. 2 times 3 sevenths. So 2 times 3 sevenths equals 3 sevenths plus 3 sevenths. I have 2 3 sevenths. That's what it says I'm supposed to have. Okay? And I'll do the last one with you, just for fun. Oh, actually no, that's it. Pause the video, go do that one, then I'll talk about number 2. Okay, number 2, write each sum as a product. So you're doing the exact opposite of what you already did. So a half plus a half plus a half. My pluses look like times. So I have 1, 2, 3 halves. Now, if you were a smarty pants, you'd reduce that to lowest forms. 3 halves looks like this, right? 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves. 3 halves is actually 1 and a half, right? Easiest way to do that is go, how many times does 2 go into 3? 1. How many left over? 1. 1 and 1 half. Okay? Go and finish number 2. Come back for number 3. Number 3, to add fractions with the same denominator, add the numerators. That's what we were doing. So, 4 times 3 fifths is 3 fifths plus 3 fifths plus 3 fifths plus 3 fifths. So, we know we've got a whole bunch of fifths, right? How many fifths have we got? 3, 6, 9, 12 fifths. It's really good practice to reduce things to lowest form because lots of times it's going to ask you, so you should practice. How many times does 5 go into 12? 2 times. What's left over? Well, 5 goes into 12 2 times, which would be 10, and there'd be 2 left over. So 2 and 2 fifths. Okay? Go answer the rest of the question. All right, to multiply a fraction with a whole number, multiply the numerator by the whole number and leave the denominator the same. So, 4 times 3, so 2 ninths plus 2, the example they give you is 2 ninths plus 2 ninths plus 2 ninths. I gotta work on my plus signs. Which equals 2 plus 2 plus 2 over 9, which equals 6 over 9, right? So 3 times 2 ninths, a whole number 3, 2 ninths, would equal 3 times 2 over 9, 6 ninths. Okay? So let's look at the first question for number 4. Multiply the fraction with the whole number, write your answer as a mixed number. So we're going to reduce it, right? So the first example is 4 times 3 sevenths, right? 4 times 3 is 12, so we end up with 12 sevenths, but now we have to reduce it, right? Yeah. So 7 goes into 12. How many 7s go into 12? 1. How many's left over? Well, one group of 7 would be 7, so that leaves me 5 left over. 5 sevenths. 1 and 5 sevenths. Okay? Let me do the next one with you. 5 times 2 thirds means 5 times 2 over 3. 5 times 2 is 10 over 3. How many times does 3 go into 10? 3 times, which is 9. 3, 6, 9. That leaves us 1 left over. 3 and 1/3. Okay? You go do the last one. All right, number 5. find the product. Product is the answer to a multiplying question. Simplify your answer, show your work in your notebook. Okay, 3 times 4 sixths. 3 times 4 is 12, so we end up with 12 sixths. 6 goes into 12 2 times with nothing left over, so the answer is just 2. Okay, look at the next one. 8 times 3/4. 8 times 3 is 24 over 4. How many times does 4 go into 24? 4, 8, 12, 16, 24. 6 times. And nothing left over. So the answer is just 6. Okay? I'll do one of the last ones for you because they're always harder. Actually, I'm going to do the very last one because they use variables, right? So it's A times B over A. So what were we doing? We were taking our whole number and timesing it by the numerator, so we'd end up with A over B divided by A. Okay? That's what we would end up with. Now, as we get further into algebra, you find out that you could cross those two things out and cut B. But let's just leave that for now. Okay? All right, next page. In mathematics, the word of can mean multiply. I've told you this before. When you say 3/4 of 6, you're actually saying 3/4 times 6. So 2 groups of 3 means 2 times 6. 6 groups of half means 6 times a half, or a half plus a half plus a half plus a half plus a half, well, 6 times, right? So a half of 6 means a half times 6. So calculate each product by finding the fraction of the whole number. All right, 1/3 of 6 actually means 1/3 times 6, which we were just doing, right? Now, we were doing it the other way around, where we said 6 times 1/3, but you know very well that 2 times 3 and 3 times 2 both equal 6. So it doesn't matter whether the fraction comes first or the whole number comes first. It's the same thing. We still go 6 times 1 is 6 over 3. How many times does 3 go into 6? 2 times, nothing left over. Okay, I'll do one more with you. Let's do the last one. 3/4 times 20. Okay? Well, we got to multiply across the top. 3 times 20 is 60. 20, 40, 60. Over 4. And 4 goes, I happen to know, 4 goes into 60 15 times with nothing left over. Okay? Pause the video, go answer number 7. All right, investigation. When multiplying whole numbers, the order we multiply in does not affect the answer. For example, 2 times 3, 2 times 6, so 2, what the heck? Oh, 2, I can't read it. Oh, exact same example I gave you. 2 times 3 or 3 times 2, they both equal 6. Okay? When multiplying a fraction and a whole number, does the order we multiply in affect the answer? Well, we already know. We answered that in the last one. 1/3 of 6, 6 times 1/3, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So, the first question is 8 times 1/4 is 1/4 8 times. So that means it's 8/4. 4 goes into 8 2 times. Nothing left over. 1/4 of 8 or 1/4 times 8 is both 2. Okay? I'll do the last one with you. It's 12 times 5 sixths. Okay? 12 times 5 sixths and 5 6 times 12. Okay, so multiply across the top. 12 times 5 is 60 over 6. 5 times 12, still 60 over 6. 6 goes into 60 how many times? 10 times, nothing left over. Okay? We'll finish the rest of the question. Okay, number 2. The fractions 1/3 and 2 sixths are equivalent, right? 3 to 6 is times 2 times 2. Those are equal. Does multiplying by 2 sixths result in the same answer as multiplying by a third. Here's what I would say to that. If I asked you to use your calculator and figure out what 1/3 is as a decimal and figure out what 2/6 is as a decimal, if they are equal, do you think that if the fractions are equal, do you think that the decimals would be equal? I think we know the answer to this investigation already. Okay, multiply these numbers by both a third and a sixth and see what happens. Okay, so 4 times 1/3, I can do that. 4 times 1 is 4 over 3. And by 2/6, 4 times 2/6. 4 times 2 is 8/6. So it looks different, right? Remember to reduce it, get it to lowest terms. How many times does 3 go into 4? 1 time with 1/3 left over. How many times does 6 go into 8? 1 time with 2 left over. 2/6, 1/3. We know that those are equal. You should reduce this even further and divide them both by 2, and it would both be 1 1/3. Okay? So when you do this question, you should get the same answer when you multiply both numbers. Okay? And that's it. That's all for today. Good job.